me just hit record. All right, so what are we doing now? We are going to be looking at breakout number 2 here with the live lesson, and we're going to focus on retrieving memories and then do finish the FAST assignment. So I'm just going to go through. I don't anticipate this taking about a half an hour. Okay, I'm not going to be doing any review right now. I just want to make sure that we get done. Okay, and then your independent work is actually, I decided not to do a progress check. What you're going to do is complete your FAST assignment and turn that in. Okay, because that's enough of a progress check for you, and you'll see that once we get there. Okay, so let's take a look at memory retrieval. So with memory retrieval, we are talking about getting information out. Okay, and by the way, I apologize for that number. Was it the 8 digits? Okay, we were watching the video in class and realizing the 8 digits cut out like 4 digits in, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, so memory retrieval here, what we're looking at are what types of retrieval do we have? So the first is going to be recall, okay, and recall is going to be something like fill in the blank. So I really like this picture here. If I were to see a person, okay, I would probably recognize their face, but I may not be able to recall their name. It's a lot harder to recall a name than to recognize. Okay, recognition, on the other hand, is multiple choice. I guarantee that you would rather have a fill in the blank test with a word bank than without, okay, because then you can recognize the words to put into the fill in the blank. So again, it is easier to recognize in comparison to recall. Then finally, here I have it explicitly stated, we do recognize more than we can recall. Okay, so if I see a person, I'll recognize their face. I know that person's familiar to me, but to recall their name may be more difficult. We also have what is called relearning. So this is going to relate back to the spacing effect. If I learn something once, I learn it again, and then I have to look at it again, it is going to take me less time to relearn it each time that I learn it. So if we go back to the Ebbinghaus list at the beginning of the year, okay, I think the first high score was like 8. Okay, the second time we did it, maybe it was 14. The third time we did it was 16. And mostly everybody saw improvement, okay, that you at least remembered more each subsequent time that you did it. And that is showing the relearning, okay, that because you are looking at it again and again and again, it's going to take less and less time to learn everything. Now, we have some other things here for memory retrieval. We have what are called external retrieval cues, external retrieval cues. So what are some things in our environment that are going to help act as a retrieval cue? The first is something called priming. We've talked about priming before when we talk about how we have looked at unconscious or subliminal messages. Okay, that subliminal messages can prime associations. Okay, so I had given you an example of showing like these cute pictures of cats or scary pictures of like werewolves, okay, and then rating the friendliness of a girl, okay? So we're looking at here with primary activation of associations, and I do have an example here for you, okay? So I'd like you to look at the screen here, and what I would like you to do right now is I want you to write down a fruit. Write down a fruit. Okay, message me what fruit you wrote down, please. Private message me what fruit you wrote down. Okay. So what I was going for, I don't even think this is statistically significant. Which fruit do you think I wanted you to write down if you looked at the square?
Oh, we're just looking at the square.
Yeah, I did not explain that very well. Okay, so yeah, if I have you look at the square, okay, or this grid here, I was hoping banana. Some people said lemon. Again, it's not statistically significant. It's chew all over the place. Okay, but if you look at something that would prime an association, okay, it would help if your teacher gave better example here. Okay, so context-dependent memory then is that context can prime your memory retrieval. And I have such a good example here for context-dependent memory. So I have told you to, or I've encouraged you to study like how you would take the test. Okay, so sitting up at a table, quiet environment, okay? But I have a better example that is really relevant. Okay, how many of you have a junk drawer, first of all? Okay, where is it located? Kitchen. Where's yours? Mudroom. Okay, so we have kitchen, mudroom. Okay, I would be willing to bet that a large majority of people have their junk drawer in the kitchen. Mine's in the kitchen. Okay, so let's say I want you to imagine you're in your room. Okay, you realize you don't have anything to write with. Okay, so you need a pencil. Okay, so you leave your room, you go to the kitchen, you get into the kitchen, you have no idea why you're there. Okay, so you look around and you're like, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? And then maybe you get a glass of water. You're like, I know this isn't what I needed, okay, but I'm still going to get a glass of water or get a snack. You go back to your room where you're doing your homework. You sit down. What happens? Oh, I need a pencil. Okay, so then maybe you go back to the kitchen and you actually walk to the kitchen. And you're like, pencil, 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 because you don't want to forget again. At least that's what I do. Okay, so, and here's why. Your context was when you are in your room and you're sitting in front of all your stuff and you need a pencil. Okay, you're like, okay, I need a pencil. I have my homework. You go to the kitchen, it's a different context. Okay, so you're like, was I hungry? Because you eat in the kitchen. Okay, and then when you go back, you're back in the same context in which you needed the pencil. You're like, oh yeah, I needed the pencil. Okay, so here, this helps explain, oh, am I doing that now? Hang on, I'm just trying to think of what activity. I thought I did that later. I must do it now. Okay, give me a second here. Okay, get out your memory sheet of paper. Okay, we are going to do a free recall activity. And where the heck is it? I thought I had it on a presentation. I'm just going to pause. What we are going to do now is a free recall activity, and I'm going to read 12 words aloud, and you can look at the words as well. And then at the end, you're going to write down as many words as you can remember. I do not have this on your FAST assignment, so it's totally fine. Okay, what we're going to do here is you can remember these in any order. Okay, so you can remember these in any order. That does not matter. It's different than our other activities. So here we go. And I'll leave each one up for about 2 seconds, and I will say it and you'll see it. Ready? Rest. Snore. Sound. Tired. Bed. Comfort. Awake. Eat. Wake. Dream. Slumber. Night. Recall. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I just want you to mark, and then I'm just going to ask for a few random ones that you remembered. And all I'm going to ask for those of you at home is to chat to me, yes, okay, that you remembered that one. So how many of you remembered rest? Okay, go ahead and actually hold on, pause. Okay, I'm going to launch a poll. Okay, so if you remembered, click A. If you did not remember, click B. So how many of you remembered rest? Did you remember rest? Okay, so good. Most people remembered this one. So the next one that I'm curious about, snore. Okay, then sound. Tired. Bed. Comfort. Okay, I'm going to send this one out. Okay, if you remembered, A is yes, B is no. Okay, so the first one I had 17 yeses and 1 no. This one in the middle here, I have 12 yeses and 8 no's. Okay, so we can see now that we get to the middle, it gets a little bit harder. Okay, awake, eat, wake, dream. Okay, and then sleep. Okay, so I'm going to relaunch. Go ahead and write yes, you wrote sleep. No, you did not. Did you write sleep down? So yes is A. Interesting. Okay, slumber, night. Okay, I didn't say sleep. Did not say sleep, but I had 12 students say yes. I wrote down sleep. Okay, so why is this? Because why?
They're all like related to sleep.
They are, okay? They're all related to sleep. So here we're going to talk about deja vu. Okay, so all 12 words here, so you could get a 12 out of 12, okay? All 12 words here had to do with sleep. So I frequently have to go through, and obviously I don't have arguments through Zoom because nobody talks. But the other reason is because I usually have to go back and show, see, this is the exact list. And I started doing like the presentation to show you because so many kids thought I was lying, which, I mean, I've been known to do. Okay, but in this case, I seriously did not say sleep, okay? But 12 of the 28 of you did say that you saw sleep. Why is this? It's deja vu, okay? And deja vu is, I'm sure we've all experienced it. It is like you've already experienced something. And largely the reason for that is because of context effects. I think we could all agree that our lives do not change that much day to day. Okay, so I see the same people, I have the same routines. So if I'm talking to a friend and I was like, oh my gosh, whoa, I'm having deja vu. Oh my gosh, I'm having deja vu that I'm having deja vu. What is going on? I knew you were gonna say that. It actually probably has happened before. Okay, that could be one explanation, but the other is that the context is acting as a retrieval cue. You've probably been in that setting with your friends, at your friend's house, talking about similar things. So that is how we explain deja vu. It's like, I've been there before already, okay? Now, let's take a look, move on to memory retrieval with internal retrieval cues. So the last one we looked at was external retrieval cues. Now we're looking at internal. And state-dependent learning. Okay, this is going to be when we learn in one state, it's more easily recalled in that state. So this is going to be more with like your level of consciousness, okay, or state of consciousness. So here I have an example of tests that have been done, okay, with people with their state. If we look at an altered state of consciousness, remember we have our full attentions, that selective attention ranging all the way to unconsciousness. So somewhere in the middle is like drinking and drugs. Okay, so there's a study here, okay, of people who were sober at learning and then drunk at learning, and then how their ability to recall. Okay, so what we have here is if somebody is drunk at learning, so let's say a 0.1 alcohol level, can't drive, but also is probably not falling over. Okay, if they, let's say, learn how to bowl after drinking, okay, they may bowl if they're learning to drink, or excuse me, they're learning to bowl when they're drinking, okay, they may have stronger recall when they're drinking, okay, in comparison to a sober state. If somebody is sober when they're learning and then they're drinking, when they have to recall it, it's going to be lower. That's not a surprise. What is surprising here is if somebody is drunk at learning and drunk at recall, it's almost equivalent to sober at learning and sober at recall. Okay, again, not falling over where you can't even be aware, okay, but you have this altered state. Now, mood congruent, okay, is going to be more of what is your emotional experience that's happening, okay? So here we have if somebody is sad versus neutral versus happy, okay, and they're going to self-report their mood, okay, and we ask them to recall memories. If you are sad, you tend to recall more sad memories. If you are happy, you tend to recall more happy memories. And think about this like with your, I'm going to say parents or siblings. Okay, if you are really annoyed with a sibling, okay, or a parent, okay, you're going to think of all the things that annoy you about that person. If you're in a really good place, you're very happy, you tend to think of all the things that make you happy about that person. Okay, so again, and I think too, if I were to think of a class, okay, if I was really annoyed with a teacher, for example, I would probably only think about the things that bothered me about that person. Okay, so that is going to be that mood congruent theory. Okay, and then the last part here is going to be the order of appearance is going to affect retrieval. Okay, and what we have here is we have the serial position effect. You recall the first and the last items on a list better. And I am actually going to, let's see. We're going to do one more activity. Okay, so what we're going to do here, this is also called the primacy recency effect. What we're going to do is, this is again our last memory activity. I am going to read a list of words, and these are not connected like the previous one with that recall activity that all had to do with sleep. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read, I don't know how many words it is. Okay, and when I'm done, you're going to write down as many as you can remember. Okay, and then we're going to fill it in on a Google form so we can demonstrate this primacy recency effect, our tendency to remember things better at the beginning and the end. Okay, so get out your memory sheet of paper. I don't know if I have the instructions for this. Okay, so this is memory activity number 6. Get out your memory scratch paper. I'm going to read a list of words aloud, and then when I say recall, you'll write down as many as you can remember. So here we go, and I'll give about 2 seconds to do this again. Okay, ready? Cat, apple, ball, tree, square, head, house, door, box, car, king, hammer, milk, fish, book, tape, arrow, flower, key, shoe, recall. So what I did here, those of you who are on Zoom, I put the direct link to the form. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on the ones that you remembered. Okay, my in-person learners, it's underneath breakout number 2 here, and it just says words. I think 20. I think there were 20. Yeah, 20. Okay, so here's what I want to show you. I've been collecting this. I collected it last year and this year. Okay, and again, we are looking at what is called, okay, the primacy recency effect. So I tend to recall the first and last items on the list easier. So let's take a look at the data, okay, from the last few years. If I can find it, there it is, okay. So if I look here at my data, okay, it's not exactly like that chart, but we can definitely see that we tend to remember those at the beginning, and that's the primacy effect. Okay, so if I look at this data here, okay, 94.3% remembered cat, 88.5% remembered apple, and then we had you can see how it tends to get lower. Okay, obviously there's other variables at play here. What I like to think about too with the primacy recency is that the middle tends to get murky. Okay, so you can see book and tape, which not exactly in the middle, okay, but that those are less than 20%. Okay, and if we start to look at the middle like car, king, hammer, okay, we're right around 50. But after book and tape, you can see how it starts to increase again. Okay, it's not as good as the primacy, okay, but arrow, flower, key, and shoe all increase with each word there. Okay, so that would be showing recency effect. Now, how can I remember primacy versus recency? Primacy, primary grades, earliest grades, the earliest stuff that you heard. Recency is recent. It's the old or the newest stuff you heard. It's the most recent words that you heard. So that would be an example here of serial position effect at work. Okay, so now what does the rest of class look like? Okay, so what you're going to do, okay, is you are going to finish and submit this FAST assignment. Okay, let's just finish it now so you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, and I have a list of words here. So I'm not doing a multiple choice. I want to give you time to do this, okay, and I'm sure you'll finish a little early. Okay, imagine that you're studying for an upcoming psychology exam. How can you use the words that are on your FAST assignment to help you study more effectively? Okay, so and really think about this and think about the resources that we have in class. Then when you're finished, hit submit. Okay, and then you're done. And I hope everybody has a really fantastic break and happy holidays to everybody and get some rest. Okay, and I hope that you're able to connect with some people that you haven't connected with in a while, whether it's on Zoom. I know some people are having Zoom dinners and stuff, but I'm going to hang out here to see if you have any questions. If not, you're free to log off and make sure you submit that assignment.
Mrs. Severson,
Yes.
did we